All right, we're here with the semifinals. We have Brady Monroe on Azorius Control on top and Ian Flynn on Rakdos Burn on the bottom. Players are shuffling up, presenting decks, and deciding mulligans. Notably, Brady has Kahira the Orphan Guard presented as a companion. So, Spencer,
Yeah,
what are
we've
you
seen a
thinking
lot
about
from
this?
this Azorius deck here. We've seen a lot from it from the weekend. Brady was actually on round one, so if we can catch that match when that goes up. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on with this Rakdos deck. There's a lot a lot to see with this list. A couple like choice cards that honestly I don't think I've ever really seen in the burn lists before. Although I do have to say, any Rakdos burn deck is not complete without Bump in the Night, and there's the copy sitting right there. So I think we got a pretty great match going to play out for us right here.
Yeah, Ian leading off here with a Blackleaf Cliffs and a Bolt Wave, one of the
Oh,
new Foundations cards.
yeah, new card right there.
So putting Brady to 17 as he plays his first land, a Scalding Tarn and a pass.
Usually not too indicative of a strong opener from the burn player. Usually the old Lava Spike is not what you want to see from them, but
No. And these Searing Blazes in Ian's deck not looking great game one in this matchup. Fetching with a Scalding Tarn from hand for a Blood Crypt. Doesn't look like he has one of his spicy lizard editions in his opener this time. So
yeah,
we have Ian.
we got here
Another Bolt Wave for
the
another
old
3.
draw seven bolts.
Yeah.
The old tried and true strategy.
Yeah. For almost 30 years now. Still good. And following it up with a Scare the Critics now that Spectacle is on. Brady fetching at the end step, paying one more life to get a Meticulous Archive. Let's see what he does with the Surveil. So, what is he looking for here? Ideal scenario.
Honestly, I'm not sure what we'd be looking for. It's pretty rough looking at this list. It seems like it's teched out a lot for a lot of what the metagame is currently present with. Orum's Chant, a card that probably is aimed more towards like a breach list, something along the lines of wanting to stop the combo turns early and being able to pivot into a position where you can actually be able to cast your counter spells and things like that. But in this matchup, I mean, Prismatic Ending, that's a card that you probably want to have some number of, but it's never going to do exactly what you want it to do. Oh, but here's
and
the
here we're
Orange
seeing one
Chant
of those
on the
Orm's Chants. Ian taking a straw, playing a land, and looks like passing back.
You know what? Honestly, in the deck full of Bolt Waves, Bump in the Nights, it's probably not that bad. Like, all things considered here. Not being
Yeah,
able to play a creature, you're effectively, time walking here.
yeah, but at the same time, it's just kind of kicking the can down the road. He has to handle everything in Ian's hand and off the top of his deck still,
Well, I imagine
especially
from
at
the
10.
Yeah, but I imagine from the Azorius seat, right? At some point in this game, you're gonna want to pivot into pay 5 mana to cast a Solitude, right? So every turn that's getting you closer to getting that fifth land drop down is probably where you want to aim at. Oh, and
Ooh,
here
here
it
comes
is,
your
bumping the
favorite.
night. Yep, there it is. One of my favorite League shoutcasters loves that card. If you know him, you know him.
Brady getting to convert a counterspell on one of those bumps. Ian unloading his hand, putting Brady down to, looks like 1.
Brady just had too much to say here. Too critical. That fetch land is. I don't think it's going to be doing very much this game.
All right, here's a Time Raveler.
Will
Minus
it be
3,
enough?
repulse, target nothing.
Will it even do anything?
Lightning Bolt off
And
the
it looks
top.
like it will not.
Solitude, evoke
Solitude,
into another
solitude?
Solitude, evoke. Solitude exiling the second Solitude exiling the first
Healing
one.
Salve is too strong for Modern, ladies and gentlemen.
One of those Solitudes should be exiled. I think that's just going to not matter a ton. As Brady plays another fetch land, so we're even further away from the hardcast Solitude point.
I will say, using 2 of the Solitudes on that play is definitely a real cost.
Looks like we might be buying Kahira. Unless Brady's hand came up, unless Brady's draw step came up with something. There's the Kahira in hand. Here is an Iridescent Vinelasher, one of these spicy additions. A 1 mana 1/2 landfall. Deal 1 damage to target opponent. Also has Offspring.
This is one of these new cards that, you know, when I first saw it played out over the weekend, I wasn't too sure about it, but I don't know. It really gives like a lot of like long game potential to this deck that I don't really think that like Burn has really had access to in a long time.
It's certainly not nothing. And when you have as many fetch lands as a Burn deck typically does, and are able to convert these fetches into additional damage or these additional lands into damage,
it looks like it's not even going to matter, though, with the Skull Crack off the top.
Nope. Just drawing more damage off the top. We have Brady on the play, leading with a Hall of the Storm Giants.
What a great land. Oh, Swiftspear.
We are...
Maybe some communication going on here with what's happening. It looks like...
Looks like getting a little ahead, but also kind of... a little bit of back and forth among friends. Brady casting the Tune the Narrative with the Swiftspear on the stack, it appears, into a Pitchcast Solitude, just trying to preserve life total and convert cards.
Probably the tune was probably there for more the fact that like the wrath is something that you want to preserve in this matchup. So probably looking for any other white card off the top just to be able to exile. And it does feel aggressive to Pitchcast a Solitude, unlike in the early game like this, just to prevent the 1 point of damage. But honestly, when it comes to Swiftspear, it's a type of card that you want to remove as early as possible. And I don't think you're casting that Solitude for 5 mana and winning the game.
You're going to remove it eventually, and the sooner the better.
Looks like a proxied Reprieve, putting a Skewer the Critics back in the hand. That's a pretty nice lineup there.
Yeah, that's basically exactly how Brady wants the Reprieve to line up against Ian's cards in this game.
Oh, and there it is. Hit Orm's Chant, the Time Walk Ian.
Ian second-guessing playing the land. Maybe he has an Iridescent Vinelasher and no 4th land in hand. That's kind of what that signals to me. And here we go. Surveilling at the end step again for Brady. Possibly looking for another Solitude so we can hit that 5 mana territory.
Honestly, might just be looking for a land, too.
Maybe that's why we cast the tune before we did the Solitude Evoke on turn 1. Looks like we'll leave it on top. Basic Island, Narset.
Now this is a scary card.
Narset finding an Orm's Chant.
Is this killing the Narset?
Looks like end step, Ian casting a Skullcrack. And targeting Brady.
No fear.
Does not appear that Ian is going to be focusing on the Narset at all, or is afraid of the Narset Days Undoing combo, and hoping that he can just continue to draw lightning bolts off the top, or lightning bolt analogs. Brady playing revealed. Very kind gesture.
I say make him remember.
Well,
but I appreciate it's not going to matter because it's going to go into the bin anyway. Getting cast immediately.
Ian once again being silenced in his upkeep. and playing a Sunbaked Canyon. Got a little peek at the hand. It looks like maybe another land or two, and a white border card that is possibly a lightning bolt.
All things considered, this Rakdos deck, again, seems like it can go into the long game pretty effectively. Bumping the
Definitely.
knights. Even if Brady is still like time walking with the Orms chant, I still feel like Ian getting to play a land every turn is still just going to eventually get the job done.
Definitely not looking too terrible for him, especially if he can offspring one of those iridescent vine lashers or possibly set up a turn where he's casting multiple lightning bolts at the end of Brady's turn into Ian getting to untap and possibly do something during his.
I will say though, that counterspell off the Narset minus was very, very good. Again, all of these big plays that we're talking about in the late game, a lot of 6-mana plays, something you perfectly want to line up against a counterspell. You don't feel good counterspelling a lightning bolt, you feel great counterspelling a flashback bump in the night, that's for sure.
Or an offspring vine lasher. And
Oh, yeah, most certainly.
notably, Brady also missing lands.
It doesn't seem to matter though with the Solitude. You're just able to play through it all.
This Wrath of the Skies on top, not looking too great on this board either. Hopefully the Narset can find something better to use the mana on. Here comes that Skewer the Critics again, hard cast, targeting Brady, putting him to 10. Another minus on the Narset, finding Days Undoing.
Ooh, baby. This is pod racing.
So here's that thing we were talking about, which would empty Ian's hand, refill Brady's hand, and see where everything kind of falls after that. Ian has done a good job emptying his hand before this, and leaving these Sunbig Canyons on the table as extra cards to reload with later.
Definitely a bit of a cost, though. But I don't imagine Brady's going to be able to leverage the 1 or 2 points of damage a turn effectively.
No, and Ian is still sitting here, flashing back bump in the night.
Counterspell? There we go. That was a counterspell that dealt 2 damage.
Certainly was. Here we go, passing back. Ian going long with this burn deck, as you said before.
Sanitarium? Oh, there's the Days Undoing.
Alright, so what's going to happen now is graveyards in hands, shuffle into the deck. Everyone will draw a new hand of 7. Narset will stop Ian from drawing 6 of those 7 cards.
And, very importantly, the turn will end.
the turn will end. Which is very important, which means that Brady cannot take any more game actions on his own turn. We're going to have to see where everything falls with Ian.
Have you ever had someone cast a Days Undoing in your upkeep?
No, that sounds hard to beat. Sounds like the game was over, but no one knew yet.
No, it was a very disappointing realization for my buddy before FNM when he realized that Days Undoing only ends the turn if you cast it on your turn.
What if you get silenced in your upkeep in this scenario though? With Brady casting his Orms chant, kicked, no attacking.
Very important here.
Fetching. And Brady's sitting at 10 still.
For 7 mana, we can now... What can we cast here?
I'm wondering if he's trying to set up a Sunbaked Canyon crack on Brady's turn. 2 turns in a row to try and set him up with a hand where he can go something
Yeah,
like
but the
Swift
Gaia
Spear.
Reach. Oh, the Gaia Reach activation
Ooh.
here. He said, draw your card, discard your card, and then, oh, you want to
No
draw for your
draw.
Sunbake? Sorry, can't do it.
That's tough.
And getting rid of a dispute. Oh, I wouldn't want to have that card either.
Ian possibly looking to use his time a little more wisely at this point. And by that I mean moving to the next game. But I don't think he's necessarily ready to do it yet.
Mage Bane?
Here comes a Magebane Lizard.
Being a 10. Oh.
Counterspell.
And this is where he'd be casting Power Blast if he had one.
I think we might be entering Hardcast Solitude, attack for 7 kind of territory. Oh, he's being put in the lock. So now we are activating Gaia Reach Sanitarium in the upkeep, I believe, which makes Ian draw a card, discard a card, and then for his draw step, he fails to draw a card because of Narset's static ability. Here is a 5 8th land, 9th land.
Are we gonna see an attack here from the hall? Oh no, just another Narset.
Another turn of setup, but I believe we are getting close to activating this hall.
Well, every turn Ian has is another turn to cast an Norm's Chant.
Very interesting Narset there. Looks like Solitude, Solitude, Solitude into Wrath of the Skies, taking the only available option.
I'm trying to picture a world how Ian gets out of this. I guess you can break Canyon. Oh, a Skullcrack on. Oh.
Yep. Ian packing it in there. A little too far gone. However, Ian is going to be on the play for Game 3, which seems favorable for him. Seeing him bring in the Magebane Lizards makes me think that he's just trying to replace a lot of these kind of more dead cards and like Searing Blaze with just more creatures. Magebane Lizard looking to be the choice over Eidolon of the Great Revel, so because it will affect more expensive cards like Wrath of the Skies. Looks like we are pitch casting Solitude to hit a Goblin Guide.
I like the aggressive use of Solitude here. Again, I don't think it's really worth holding on to.
No, it seemed pretty good so far. Oh, here's the Vine Lasher, followed by a Scalding Tarn, dealing 1, fetching for 1, finding another land, dealing another 1. So Vine Lasher doesn't quite have haste, but when you're following it up with a fetch land and another spell, it's looking pretty good. Converting into a lot more damage than I would have expected.
Just certainly swung for 2, that's for sure.
And
interesting to think that both of these cards are lizards. I wonder if there's some possible technology to be utilized in that.
It's definitely not nothing. Here comes another Goblin Guide. Attack, reveal Narset, Parter of the Veil on top of Brady's deck. Brady having the Windswept Heath, he can opt to fetch it away at this point. Looks like he's going to do that, paying a life. We're going to see what he finds, and if he's going to take this 2 off the Goblin Guide. Another Meticulous Archive. See what he surveils. Spence, what are we looking for here?
Well, we're pretty sure we know he has a Wrath, right?
Was it pitched off of the Solitude, or was that on top of the deck when the Goblin Guide attacked?
I'm pretty sure he flipped one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Finally, a kicked Worm's Chant with creatures on the table. Vine Lasher still dealing his damage.
Yep. Can't stop him.
Definitely not something I considered when initially seeing the Vine Lasher on the table either last turn, is that it can still get damage in through an Orm's Chant. Here's another Meticulous Archive, taking a peek and leaving it. 2 mana up. Are we going to see another chant, or are we going to see no chant? Possibly a counter spell being represented. 1 damage off the Vine Lasher. Looks like Ian with 2 cards in hand. This Vine Lasher converting these lands into damage is not nothing.
Yep, and Worm's Chant off the top.
But now that we've seen that the Vine Lasher gets damage in through a kicked Orm's Chant, is that even impressive?
Honestly, with Brady going to 7 here, it might not matter.
No, another Bolt Wave.
Going to 4. Could this be
and a Lightning Bolt.
Could we be seeing the wrap up?
Looks like Ian has no cards in hand, 2 creatures on the table. Vine Lasher able to convert any land off the top into damage.
And does he rip an instant or any type of
We have a Sunbaked Canyon.
Crack Canyon. Draw land. And Barbarian Ring wraps it up. Don't even have to crack it. What a match.
Great games.